what I call the seed, time, and harvest. It's part of his principle that he set the whole earth up that way. When you think from a cow to a tree, all of it is, from us, seed, then there's a little human being in you. It takes 9 months, and then here's the harvest, and then it continues to grow. So God already prepares and put all that in us, and that's just the way his system works. That if we can take that in and understand it, we can really do some great things.
Welcome to the Side Hustler Podcast, the podcast for women building their dreams while balancing work, family, and all the things. I'm your host, Carly LeBlanc, a wife, mom, marketer, and your side hustling friend here to teach you how to grow a brand that works for you and not the other way around. Whether you're a side hustling pro or just starting out, this is your safe place for real talk, actionable strategies, and the encouragement you need to keep going. We're here to help you make progress and not perfection. So grab your favorite drink, settle in, and let's build your dream one step at a time. Hello, and welcome back to the Side Hustler Podcast, the podcast for women building businesses while working a 9 to 5 and trying to figure out how to walk in their purpose. I kind of just threw that in there today because I am super excited about this episode. And I know I say that before every single episode, but this is a really special episode that I hold close and dear to my heart because not only is this guest someone who's planted the seed of entrepreneurship into me years ago, but he's also the first male to be featured on this podcast. I feel like I have women all the time. And so I really wanted to take the time out to invite this special guest, Mr. David Pack, who is the founder of Trinity Financial Consulting. Every single time we talk, it just feels like I leave with so many nuggets of notes of wisdom. And so I was like, oh, this would be so good to have Mr. David Pack on the episode. So Mr. David Pack is the founder of Trinity Financial Consulting. He's a financial strategist, but he helps faith-based business owners and he mentors people by helping churches and entrepreneurs build sustainable wealth the kingdom way. His journey started from being a full-time banking executive to now a full-time entrepreneur. And it is so and he's just so intentional and so wise with the way that he teaches finances and wealth. So this episode is going to be filled with a lot of life lessons for anyone who is curious or wants to get serious about really taking their entrepreneurship journey to the next level to building long-term wealth and legacy. And so in this episode, we are going to talk about why preparation and obedience are essential before stepping into full-time entrepreneurship. We're going to talk about how to shift from paycheck to paycheck mindset into an abundance mindset. We're also going to talk about the difference between being rich and having wealth and why God calls us to the latter. And we're also going to talk about how you can multiply your income through the seed time harvest principle and build a business that can actually work for you behind the scenes. This episode is going to be full of knowledge and wisdom. We're going to be talking about mentorship and partnerships and just being a good steward over the gifts God has blessed you with. So if you are ready to take the next step to thinking different, to really just expunging on entrepreneurship and doing entrepreneurship the way that we have been designed to, then make sure that you are ready to tune in. If you have any distractions, just make sure you remove all your distractions because this episode is going to be so good. So without further ado, let's get into it. Before we dive into today's episode, I have something special for all of my side hustlers out there. Are you building a business while working a 9 to 5 and you're tired of wasting time on marketing strategies that don't actually move the needle? Then you're going to want to get plugged into my weekly newsletter. Every single week, I'm giving you the real behind the scenes scoop on what's actually working in marketing and business. No fluff, no gatekeeping, just real strategies, insights I'm testing in my own business, and practical tips that you can apply right away. If you want to work smarter and not harder and finally start seeing momentum, then head over to cdcreativecoagency.com/newsletter and get locked in. Trust me, you don't want to miss it. Thank you, Mr. David Pack, for joining us today on the Side Hustler podcast. How are you
I am
doing?
doing great, and I'm glad to be here to be joining you and talk to you and to your audience. So thank you for having me.
Yes, I'm so excited to have you because, like I was telling you before, and to tell a couple of my listeners, Mr. David Pack was probably one of the most influential people that have pushed me into entrepreneurship because when we first met a couple years ago and I was telling him about, my dreams and my desires of becoming a doctor, he was the first person that actually planted the seed of me possibly even considering entrepreneurship. And I told him that. And when the next time I saw him after that, I was like, oh, hey, good news. I actually decided to start a business. And I just wanted to just say thank you again for just pouring into me, for always, anytime I see you, like you always pour into me so much wisdom about wealth and about just really taking care of myself financially and putting myself in a good position. And so I wanted to have you on this podcast because I know that you have been a blessing into my life as a young adult. Someone that's striving to be wealthy, not in the sense of like being rich and so I can go buy a private jet, but more so to make sure that I'm stewarding over my assets and taking care of the things that God blessed me with. So I just want to say thank you for pouring into me.
You're welcome, absolutely. And every chance I get, I try as my responsibility to pour back into the next generation.
Yes, for sure. And you definitely do that. So I want to start off with you sharing your story of how you started your entrepreneurship journey from going from a banking executive to now a full-time entrepreneur. Take us back to where it first began.
Yeah, so my background is one, I'm a retired Army officer, and that really comes in because it helps me to be disciplined. Okay, that's one.
Mm-hmm.
Two, I spent 28 years in corporate America. My last 10 years roughly as a banking executive. And in that whole process of all those years, I was always on the commercial side. And I say for people to understand, banking is really get kind of divided into two worlds. One, I'm going to call the retail slash consumer consumption side. And then the other side is the commercial wealth generation side. So all my
Mm,
28 years has always been on the commercial side. So I work with numerous, and I mean like 700 business owners throughout my 28 years, right? So I've
mm,
seen some really, really good ones. I've seen some were okay. I've seen a couple bad ones also. So all that time I got to witness what an entrepreneur and then how they would grow their business, right? So,
mm.
and then probably just God asked me to move, right? It was something God showed me. He actually showed me in 2009 a
Mm.
need, but I didn't move or I didn't really get the vision until 2015. And once I got the vision
Wow.
in late 2015, I tried to start doing it part time. And then I came home to my wife in March of 2016 and said, sweetie, I can't do this. I can't do it part time. I'm going to have to do it full time. And I bring that piece up because if you let me share with your audience that at that time, essentially I'm the breadwinner in the house. My wife, we had three kids, all of them are at home, right? And so she was somewhat of a home. She would work every once in a while, like, yeah, I don't like that. Like, no problem. So, and then she'd just come back and take care of the kids. That's what she did for most of the 20 years. So when I came home and I said that to her, her first words were, and she already knew about Trinity Financial. She was like, okay, then God got you. He's ready to move you. but I had prepared to,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I say that because I was at a point in my life where if I didn't generate any income from my business for 18 months, my family and I were going to be fine. Right. So I was at a
Yeah.
position where He had given me the vision. I believed in the vision. Now it was just a matter for me to walk in faith and go
Mm.
get it.
That's good that you say that because I think a lot of people that when they think about full time entrepreneurship, they find themselves at a job that they probably can't stand and they're considering starting a business. And then next thing you know, they quit without having any type of income to supplement or even money that's in savings to make sure that their family is okay. And one thing that I feel like a lot of people that are listening can agree to is that it is so much easier to build something when you're not stressed about your current your current lifestyle, your current income, right?
Yeah.
And in order for you, because then that's where you go to a place where you're hustling and you're not actually able to conduct your business in the way that God designed you to perform and for you to conduct your business because you're going to this hustle mentality
Yes.
to where like you're willing to accept any and everything
Yes.
just to keep the lights on. And so I really love how you talked about preparation. Like you were saying, if my business didn't make money for the next 18 months, like my home life is good. The bills are going to be paid, the lights are going to be on. But that's one thing that I feel a lot of people always misconstrue. They're like, oh, I'm going to, step out on faith and just quit my job and just see where it goes. And while some people have a success story, that isn't always typically how it goes. We have to prepare in order to be able to set ourselves up to be successful in
So
business.
I will add 2 points to that. One, I'm going to tell all your listeners start preparing today. Okay. It may be 6 months, it may be 3 years away. Two,
Mm-hmm.
don't move until God give you permission to move. Right.
Mm.
Once God told Abraham to move, he moved, but he didn't move
Yeah.
before God told him to move. Don't get in front of
Mm-hmm.
God, right? God is already in front of us. Think of it from a great father. He's already in front of us, working some things out. Now it's just for time for us to make sure one, we believe when he give us the vision. But please do not get
Mm-hmm.
in front of God. But I'm gonna tell you, start saving and preparing because you know what God's gonna bring to you. It's part of his
Yeah.
principle that what I call the seed, time, and harvest. It's part of his principle that he set the whole earth up that way. When you think
Mm-hmm.
from a cow to a tree, all of it is, from us, seed, then there's a little human being in you. It takes 9 months, and then here's the harvest, and then it continues to grow. So God
Yeah.
already prepares and put all that in us. And that's just the way his system works. That if we can take that in and understand it, we can really do some great things.
Have you ever found yourself stuck on what to post or struggling to stay consistent on social media? I've been there, and that's exactly why I created this free guide called 30 Days of Done For You Social Media Prompts for Personal Brands. This guide is loaded with prompts to get your gears turning so you can have a gallery of content to create for your brand and never stress about what to post again. And you can grab it right now at cdcreativecoagency.com/content and start creating content that connects without the stress. Yeah, I love that. I love the principle that you talk about with seed time and harvest. And I think that's something that you always talk about whenever you do your seminars, whenever we talk after any of the events at the church. I want to talk about entrepreneurs that are stuck in this paycheck to paycheck mentality because part of being good stewards over our business is using our seed wisely. And in order for us to get to a place where we can prepare, we have to take the seed that we currently have, whether that's from our day job, and really steward over it properly, or whatever other streams that you have coming in. So I want to talk about how can someone begin to shift into an abundance mindset of being able to, okay, I'm going to save, such and such amount of my income so that when God calls me into full-time entrepreneurship, I have that as a resource to lean on.
Wow, man, that is a loaded question. And first, I think you said the mindset. So before any habits, your mindset needs to shift. God promised that I
Mm-hmm.
have come to give you life and life more abundant. Okay, what does that all mean? Right? One, He's our Heavenly Father, so He doesn't lie. Right? I
Mm-hmm.
know I'm made in His image. And if you ask my kids, they'd say some great things about their dad. That one, I'm a
Mm-hmm.
spiritual man, and two, I try to act and live according to our Heavenly Father. And I hold to my word. If I say I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it. Okay. Well, I'm
Mm-hmm.
just a man. So I'm not trying to compare it to God or anything like that, but God won't lie to us. So one is reduce your consumption. Sit down and say, it's kind of, do you want to, for the rest of your life, continue just to stay in survival mode or start
Mm-hmm.
living the abundant mode, right? And the survival mode is almost like every week I got to go take a tablespoon of this nasty cough medicine. I can never get healed, right? But I got to continue to
Yeah.
take this. Well, let's get away from that. Stop the consumption. Get with, if you're married, get with your significant other and say, okay, let's put a budget together and we start cutting the consumption. Two, once you do that, assign money a task. Don't, that's why you need a budget. We need to assign money to say, okay, that money needs to go here. And I need to start allowing that money to grow up on itself. It's kind of like a seed, one apple seed to create me an apple tree that now is going to produce 100 apples or whatever the case may be. So it's going to build additional income for you. I will also say it will start helping you create multiple streams of income, right?
Mm-hmm.
Take your main talents and gifts and be able to take those gifts along with your passion and the vision God gave you, right? To now allow yourself to start walking in what God has called you for.
Mm-hmm.
The gift and the talent and the passion that God has given to you, it will make a way for you. I can absolutely
Yeah.
promise you that. I wanted to share something. So from that standpoint of, and I know we probably talk about a little more about the seed. Think of Amazon, right? 30 years ago, it started out with just some home good, right, items that you could go. Its whole principle was, I think I can make it easier that if you can order and have it shipped to you without you going to the store. So Amazon was
Mm-hmm.
very limited. Okay. He took from that to, okay, more consumer products to, okay, now there's furniture or anything you want to order, office equipment, any of that. And then he took it to all of a sudden, okay, here's Prime. Prime started more of logistics to get it faster to you. Now Prime is video. So he took money
Mm-hmm.
from the basics over here. Okay,
Yeah.
here's these seeds. It produced this many apples. Now
Mm-hmm.
I got a orchard. So we don't understand that piece of one tree can create 10 trees to 100 trees to, oh man, I got a whole orchard. So now you got the
Yeah.
logistics of Prime. Now you got the video of Prime. And now all of a sudden they go from there to, okay, we got Whole Foods. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
if you go look up Amazon, Amazon has over 100 subsidiaries. 100. One seed, one tree that in 30 years. So, probably one of the biggest things you want to talk about survival to abundance. Understand that that one seed, oh man, as God told Abraham, your seed will be numerous, right? In this same example with Amazon, how much has Amazon grew? What is Amazon worth?
Yeah.
Jeff
Yeah.
Bezos worth what? $150 billion.
Billion. Mm-hmm.
from zero, almost bankrupt 30 years ago, out of his garage to
Yeah.
150 billion. And now he has his company so well insulated, right? That you get, if all of a sudden one piece of Whole Food goes down, you still got 99 other subsidiaries to
Yeah.
continue to feed. So it really doesn't have that much of an impact. So God wants us to understand
Mm-hmm.
that piece about, we sometimes we look at our seed and we sell our seed all the time for a paycheck.
Yeah.
Because we're selling our seed for a paycheck, Carlissa, it doesn't have a way to bring a return,
Mm.
right? You give me a check, that's it. Well, hey, you're missing the whole point of what the seed, time, and harvest. One
Yeah.
seed, okay, we don't have to talk about the apple tree anymore, but let's just say a tomato. One seed produced what, 20 tomatoes? You don't know how many tomatoes is going to come off of that one vine, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. And
Yeah.
then once you get that one vine, let's say it's got 20 tomatoes all have seeds in them. So now I
Mm-hmm.
don't just have one seed anymore. I might have
Yeah.
40 seeds. Now I can go plant 40, and then I got 40 vines growing. What is that going to produce? That's the thing we don't get in our community. You
Yep.
can go to school, they're not sharing that with you in school. I worked in
No.
corporate
No. No. No.
America. They're not sharing that with you in corporate America. Here's the funny part about that. I'm working around millions and billions of dollars, but never get that principle. And that principle is what's going to generate and get you to wealth.
That's so good. That's so, so good. Because I think about how when growing up, like I would see my parents, like, going to work. They would just go to work just to go to work. And I think a lot of people have this idea that, okay, if you go to work, if you get a good job, you get a good check, they're only going to pay you an amount to keep you showing up for work
Yes.
because that's how the cycle continues. But when you learn how to use your wisdom and use your resources, like, okay, get to a place where you can lower your consumption, where you can have money remaining to where now you can invest in yourself. You can invest in your skill set, figuring out what it is that God has given you as far as a gift, or like you said, your talents, and how you can monetize it. The whole point of business models is really just creating solutions for people's problems. Just like you said,
Yes.
Amazon. People are lazy. They don't want to go to the store. They want to be able to just order stuff and it comes and gets delivered to their door.
Oh,
I'm one
that's
of those
me.
people. But, but if you can use your skills and your talents to provide a solution to somebody, and then also simultaneously using your resources from your day job to invest in those things to get that business up off the ground, that's the whole principle of planting that seed into fertile ground to where you can build that tree. And I think a lot of times we often think about starting all of these businesses, but it's like, just focus on that one tree at
Yeah.
first. Focus on that one tree, just like you're talking about with Amazon, and they were focusing specifically on just getting home goods. And then once that tree became an actual tree where it was bearing fruit and an abundance amount of fruit, then they took those fruit and planted it in somewhere
Correct.
else. So I want to talk about our
Yeah.
community, especially the Black community, how we sell our seed instead of planting it for long-term growth. I think about, seeing my family members that have, I don't want to say they don't have nothing to show for it, but they spend a lot of their resources on materialistic things that won't appreciate and value, that won't really move the needle, that won't build wealth for their children and their children's children. And then when it comes time for little Jimmy to go to college, Jimmy has to get a loan for school and he has to go into debt in order to get a degree that he may not even use. Or even when you have kids that, are going into debt to get their first car. Like, I feel like that is something that's normal in our community, Whereas if we started off early at a younger age, where we're actually understanding the principle of how to make money work for us, how to be wise with our money, we can actually break the cycle to where our kids go to college. They don't need a dime from student loans or whoever to get them to school if that's what they want to do. They don't need to go borrow money to go buy a car if that's what they. So I really want to talk about, why do so many people, or why do you feel so many people in our community choose to sell their seed instead of planning it for long-term growth?
Okay, three things. One, lack of understanding of that principle, of the seed, time, and harvest principle. That is by far the most. We live too much into the culture. And part of that living too much in the culture, we need instant gratification. Okay?
Mm,
Last, the discipline. Nothing is sexy
yeah.
about discipline, right? That discipline is what you got to get up in the morning. I remember saying something. It was one of the Williams sisters, and she was explaining discipline. About all the stuff, and their father made them very disciplined. But then after a period of time, when they got older, they didn't need their father to hold them to be disciplined anymore. They held it to themselves. That's why you can look
Mm,
at and see that a vision, discipline, and you're willing to work hard and someone pouring into you, a lot of great things can happen. But for the the Williams girls, as far as tennis, unheard of out of Compton, right? So the piece of the lack of understanding that principle, as a community, we don't talk about that. As a family,
mm,
we don't talk about that, right? It's not something set at the dinner table to talk
mm,
about entrepreneurship, talk about,
yeah.
be willing to start something. For example, if, let's just say, and I'm gonna use this example because my youngest son, college basketball player, through the whole NIL, did well, got money saved, so he's gonna be transitioned out of college in about another year. He should be looking to say, okay, I'm 24 years old. What do I want to do? What do I have passion? What am I good? He's good in front of the camera.
Mm-hmm.
He's a lot more natural than I am. He got his mama looks. He didn't get his daddy's look, so he's probably a better look than me in front of the camera also. But he'll have a lot of options to be able to say, what do I want to do? And now for him to go and say, I need to get a mentor and then start working in certain industries and say, do I like
Mm-hmm.
that? Not from a mentality that I got to go work there to be earning a paycheck. He's going to earn that.
Yeah.
My thing is, I want to go learn, right? I want
Yeah.
to, if I go work for Chick-fil-A, for him, it'd be because I want to own one. I wouldn't tell
Yeah.
him first year out of college, go buy a Chick-fil-A.
Mm-hmm.
Get the structure,
Yeah.
understand the processes. That's the two biggest things that hurt our community. Is when I see a
Mm-hmm.
lot of young black business owners, is they don't have the infrastructure. They're legal if they haven't filed, or yeah, Dave, I have filed. Their financial reporting on a monthly basis. I'm okay. We're in March, and the end of March is done, and we're in June. I said, well, can you give me your financials for the first quarter? Well, we're working on that, dude. You're June
Mm.
15th. You should have May's done. You ain't even got the
Yeah.
first quarter done. Well, how do you know how well you're doing? What changes do you
Yeah.
need to make? Well, I usually do them so I can get a loan. Well, you're looking at them wrong, right? You're looking at your financial statements to get a loan, not looking at your financial statements to say, well, how well did I do?
Yeah.
If I'm a McDonald's, I need to go through that number. Here's my gross number. My food
Yeah.
cost should be 27%. How much was it as a percentage? Well, I was 30. Well, why am I 3 points over?
Mm.
Well, if you
Yeah.
think of, if I got 10 McDonald's and I'm 3 points over, that three
All of
points
them.
is huge, right? So those are some of the things to making sure that we get our infrastructure and our processes in place that will make us successful.
Y'all already know I'm all about working smarter and not harder, especially when it comes to marketing your brand. And if you're still relying only on social media to reach your audience, we need to fix that immediately. Social media is cute, but let's be real. The algorithm is unpredictable and your content is probably only reaching a small percentage of your followers. That's why I swear by email marketing, because when I send an email, I know 100% of my subscribers are getting my messages. And the best part, Flowdesk makes it ridiculously easy. You can send beautiful on-brand emails, automate your sequences, and even create landing pages without needing to be tech savvy. And because you're listening, I got you a deal. Use my code SIDEHUSTLE at checkout and you'll get 50% off your Flowdesk subscription for the next 12 months. So if you're ready to stop relying on algorithms and start building a email list that actually converts, try Flowdesk for free. And don't forget to use the code SIDEHUSTLE at checkout for that exclusive 50% off. That is so good. That is really, really good. And like you were saying, I feel like that's something that we haven't, because I personally, my experience with entrepreneurship was kind of like a bad taste in my mouth, because my mom, and nothing against my mother if you're
Mhm.
listening, but my mom, she was trying to pursue entrepreneurship, but decided to do so prematurely. We didn't have money saved up. She was living paycheck to paycheck as a single mom, and we were on food stamps. We were on, Medicaid, all of the things. Like our lights would get cut off frequently.
Wow.
And so as a kid, seeing that, I never desired to be an entrepreneur, specifically because I didn't want to experience that for my child. And so I guess you could say, I mean, even though she had the desire, she had the right thought of becoming an entrepreneur. But like you said, in the Black community, we don't talk about how to do entrepreneurship
Yeah.
right. We don't talk about the preparation. We don't talk about, okay, before you decide to jump into this business model, like, do you even like this? Are you passionate about this? Is this something you can see yourself building for the long term, even if you don't make any money from the jump? Because a lot of people jump into entrepreneurship just because of the money. But then when you have those months or time frame where you're not making any money, are you still going to persevere? Are you still going to continue regardless? And so I really love how you hit about really focusing on, or as a kid, and instilling that in your son, that if that's a desire, if he does desire to go build a Chick-fil-A or own a Chick-fil-A, like, go learn the process, see if it's something that you actually like.
Yeah.
Because a lot of us that are young people, we're automatically into this cycle of having to get a job and work for the man because we have to, not because that's what we want to do. We don't want to work. Well, we don't want to work at Chipotle. We don't want to go, do these things. We want to be able to investigate. And I feel like now, I'm going on 30 this year, and I've finally been able to, like, just be at a place where I can figure out what I'm passionate
Yeah.
about. And had I been able to do this 10 years earlier, I probably wouldn't have a biochemistry degree. I probably would have a marketing degree or a business degree or something. But I really love how you talk about that, because if anyone is listening and you have children, this is one way that you can really pour into your children and set them up, is giving them the option to have options, because a lot of us don't have options, and we're already a couple steps behind
Yeah.
of our counterparts, because we are operating from that survival place and not able to actually have the time to figure out what it is that we're passionate about, because we have to get a job to pay rent, or we have to get a job to, be in school or whatever. So I really love that. I want to talk
Let me add one
about the
thing to that,
reality.
Carlisa, before you move.
Mm-hmm.
It's for a person, let's say financially right now, my son's in a different story because he's going to have savings, right? But let's just say I don't, and I'm 27. The other bad part about our community is that we're not willing to go, for example, Chick-fil-A, and I want to go learn everything at Chick-fil-A. Put in your
Mm-hmm.
mindset, I'm going to be an owner. At 27, while I'm working as a cashier. At 28, I'm understanding the kitchen. I'm going to understand all the business. Now my conversation with that owner is going to be different, right? I'm
Mm-hmm.
asking, and he's going to see a level of excellence, because I know by the time I'm 35, Chick-fil-A has a program that I can go through and get into ownership, right?
Mm-hmm.
But once I fully understand it, there's enough people like David Pack as an investor that you have worked in that industry, you know it front and backwards, you can be successful, and they come to you and say, for you to get in this program because you've been in a great employee for 7 years, we're going to give you opportunity, but you need $50,000 to get in it. Okay,
Mm.
let's 100,000, and they said, "Well, Dave, I'd say $22,500." Okay, a Chick-fil-A. I don't want to be 51% owner. That's your job. You can run it. But I will
Mm-hmm.
say, okay, I'll give you the other 80 for 49%. If Chick-fil-A allow that. If Chick-fil-A may
Mm-hmm.
say, nope, we're not going to do that. Then the other way is saying, can I pull two or three guys? We all loan you 20 grand and then you pay us back at a different time when you become successful. So 'cause
Mm.
after 3 years in Chick-fil-A, I guarantee you'll be making 400 or 500 grand as an owner, right? So you
For
wouldn't have an
sure.
issue to repay me. Now, guess what I did? I helped a young man in my community become a Chick-fil-A owner and now
Mm-hmm.
start helping back in the community. So now, married with kids, he's responsible for his family. And then my only
Yeah.
thing is for helping him put that together, even if I can't become an owner, dude, you're going to be obligated. You got to give back. You got to be able to
Yeah.
touch the next 25-year old because he's probably 40
Yeah.
now. You got to turn around
Yeah.
and do the same. Pay me back,
Yeah.
and then you got to turn around and get back.
Yeah. I love that. I love that. It was one thing that you talked about when we initially had our discussion. And you were talking about how Black people make up, I think, like about 12% of the US
Yes.
population, but they only own 2% of businesses.
Yep.
And so I want to talk about how we as Black entrepreneurs can begin to build more sustainable businesses that don't just generate income, but generate wealth.
Okay. Yes. We make up 12.4% of the population. We own 2.4% of all businesses. And if you take that compared to Hispanics, Latinos, they make up 14.5% of the population. They own 14.5% of all the businesses. If you take it to our Asian American cultures, they make up about 6.5, 7% of the population, but they have about 10.4% of businesses. They are outperforming their population. Hispanics are
Mm-hmm.
even with their population. We're significantly lower. Okay.
Lower. Yeah.
It comes back to the infrastructure and the processes. It comes back to we want to own the business, and all of a sudden we want to be fly tie in front of everyone. God don't work that way. It ain't that I help you get there so you can go show out that you did it. Nah, God
Mm-hmm.
don't work that way. God worked it. Money is quiet. Change is loud.
Yeah.
So I would just tell you when you see someone being loud, like they got it all going on, okay, they loud, that's change. Money is quiet. I can show you
Mm-hmm.
some men that walk down the street used to be my business owners, and I'm sitting there looking at them like, wow, he looked like he's ready to go fishing. He's worth $30 million, and he's got $10 million
Yeah.
in cash, right?
Yeah.
And you look at him like, man, he look like he ready to go fishing. Yeah, that's what he looked like. But he's not that kind of a guy, right? So
Yeah.
I will sit and say, for our community, the infrastructure, not saving for what you said earlier for a rainy day. We start doing well. We start taking out. We start buying big extravagant gifts, right? And then all of a sudden we don't have money when every business is going to go through a slow period, or you may lose money.
Mm-hmm.
The question is, can you
Mm-hmm.
survive it? And the business owners I used to work with, 700 plus of them, the ones that understood in a 10-year cycle, I'm gonna probably make money eight, 7 or 8. I'm gonna probably break even one. 1 year, I'm gonna probably lose money. Can I
Mm-hmm.
survive that 1 year? Worst case
Yeah.
scenario is I make money 7, I break even one, and I lose money 2 years. Now, can you survive that? Because a good business owner is
Yeah.
not going to be, or he's going to lose, out of a 10-year period, he's going to lose 3 or 4 years. That's not a good business owner. They will find a way to make money doing their business and to expand so they can make money.
Okay, real quick. If you've been showing up on socials and still not getting the results you want, I want you to listen up because I'm offering free social media audits exclusively for my side hustler listeners. If you're not sure if your page is actually attracting the right clients or if your content feels all over the place, or you just want to make sure that you're on the right track when it comes to building your brand, I got you. These audits are where I go in and I look at your page and I give you the personalized feedback on what's working, what needs to shift, and how to start creating content that actually converts. I'll also drop a few tips and strategies that most people aren't sharing because I want to see you win. And the best part about it, it's free, my friend. So head over to cdcreativecoagency.com/audit and secure your audit today. Yeah. Yeah. And that's really good because like I was telling you before, as far as when we start businesses, like we go into it with the mindset that we're doing it to make money. But that's why it's really important for you to tap into your why.
Yes.
Because on those times where you are not making money, like will you continue to pursue to help other people? Will you continue to serve those people when the bank account is looking very scarce? How are you going to come up with new strategies to be able to make money to sustain your business? So you can't just go into business and entrepreneurship because this is what the hype is and everybody's doing this right now to make money. It has to be a deeper root of why you're starting your business, because when things like this, when rainy days comes, those are going to be the things that help you to continue to propel
Yeah,
forward.
absolutely. I mean, that is well stated that you got to be prepared that your business is going to have a tough season and you got to get through it.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. And so for someone who is just getting started into entrepreneurship and they feel overwhelmed because they're trying to figure out how they can build this profitable business, what are the first three financial steps that you would encourage them to take?
Okay. One, I'm going to not call it a financial step, but I'm going to say get a mentor.
Mm,
You got to get around some other business owners
yeah.
because being a business owner, I mean, it's an old saying, it's tough sledding, right?
Yeah.
Some people make it look simple. Some people make it look real sexy, but it's still tough sledding, right? Because it all starts and ends with you. So the other piece is, I think I already said, meet, 5 to 8 different business owners. Make sure if you can work in that industry before you want to become an entrepreneur. I worked
Mm-hmm.
in the industry in corporate America and commercial banking. I seen there was two industries that had an extremely hard time getting financing after 2008. So 2008, the big bust came and banking completely
Yeah.
changed.
Mm-hmm.
Hotels and churches, for as getting capital, completely changed. And a lot of banks start pulling back out of churches along with hotels, with churches just, the reputational risk, no personal guarantees. So I went into an
Mm,
industry, I knew the industry extremely well, but here was a niche. One, my walk with God, with Christ. And then two, that I could do this and I can build lenders that who wants to be able to help church with financing across the country. We have 100 plus lenders we do business with, right? We have probably a top 20 that we do business with on a regular basis, but we got 100 we do business with. So I spent 28 years in this industry, not just with church financing, with all financing from apartments to McDonald's, didn't make any difference. We did the financing, but here was my niche, right? And
mm-hmm.
and that's some of the things I will tell a new person coming in. One, get a mentor. Start saving cash right now. You may be 3 years away. Don't save cash and say, okay, 6 months. You're not ready. You need more
Mm-hmm.
capital than you're going to anticipate. And then I will also say, here's one thing that is absolutely a gem right now. in our country. The baby boomers are retiring, 10,000 a day. About 8% of them, between 8 to 10%, I use 8, own a business. That means 800 businesses are for sale every day until
Mm-hmm.
2030 or 2031. I would tell you, I would not go start a business from scratch. I would buy one. Why?
Hmm.
Because he or she's already doing 2 million, 4 million, or 5 million. They already have a cash flow of, let's say, 500,000. Now the whole thing is, can you purchase that business right? And do they have all the right processes for you to be successful? And the SBA
Mm.
has, and the SBA is different. I know it's the SBA, but not every lender is the same as far as SBA. Some lenders are
Mm-hmm.
very conservative on one side of the SBA, and some are very aggressive.
Yeah.
And the more aggressive that lender is, the better your terms are going to be. And it really comes down to how much cash do I need to put up, right?
Mm-hmm.
Two, how quick on a deal. If I put in SBA saying, Dave, I give you 2 million, you got to put in 200. I might go to the seller and say, seller, I need for you to hold 100. I'm gonna put in 100. I just reduced my 200 to
Mm.
100. Seller says
Yeah.
yes. I still get 2 million from the SBA. I put in 100 grand. I'm gonna also say to the SBA, because he wanted 2 million for that business, I need working capital. So
Yeah.
SBA will finance part of the acquisition. SBA, I need $350,000 in working capital. They will finance that also as part of the deal, right? So
Hmm.
now I got working capital. I put 100 in. My seller's holding 100, and now I got this note. The question is making sure I can pay the note, I can
Yeah.
pay myself, and then how quick can I get my 100 grand back out? If I can find a deal like that, and most people be like, "Yeah, that sounds like it's impossible." No, there's so many of them that those deals, if you would have said 10 years ago, it was harder. Today, because there's
Yeah.
so many of them, Carlos, it's just, I can go out on a couple websites right now and probably go, yep, there's one, there's one, there's one.
Wow.
And any given day, if I spent all day on there, I'll find 10.
Wow.
And that's just in Houston. That's not even across the US.
That's impressive. I remember you were saying something about how you had a concept of like buckets and like all of the businesses and things that you decide to invest in. Like you have your gym that you are in partnership with your son, you have Trinity Financial and some other things that you're working on your real estate. And I think that one thing I really want us to talk about is how like you are able to one be able to have those streams of income working for you without putting in that not I don't want to say that much work, but
That's right.
that much work
That's correct.
essentially.
That's correct.
And basically having your businesses working for you because that's something that a lot of people desire. We don't desire to be in our business working, 80 hours out of the whole like the entire time we're running
Correct.
it. So I want you to talk about how like you have your business, Trinity Financial, which is basically your baby. That's where you're fully invested, but you also have other streams of income that you use and leverage, but you're not as actively active in.
Correct. So, man, that's a great point. Um, Trinity Financial, because that's the vision God gave me, has
Mm-hmm.
been truly a blessing for me and for my family. And it's the same company that has provided me additional financing or income that I invested into a basketball training academy. It's a national company called M14 Hoops with my son's previous trainer who trained him in Indianapolis. We bought the franchise rights in Cincinnati, Ohio. Okay. That's me taking some seed money. And I knew year one, I set the company up with extra working capital. I knew year one we was going to lose money. their model shows that and this is a startup. I just said, but if I'm looking today, I don't know how many new startups I do. I buy a business, but this was a startup. This is something I was passionate about, something my son was passionate about, and I went in with a partner. So my thing is, I'm the one to set up all the financing, and all three of us financially put into the company. My business partner, who's the corporate trainer for M14, plus he owns the Indiana location. We're partners in Cincinnati. He can run this stuff in his sleep. We hired a full-time employee, a basketball director of operations for Cincinnati. My partner managed that. So weekly, I probably do 2 to 3 hours of work in that company. When I got in, and I was probably the main one put the most capital in, I knew that I was not going to be spending 20, 30 hours in that business. I didn't have the time. My passion and what my vision, well, not my vision, but God's vision for me to continue to run Trinity Financial has not changed. That's going to be my primary. That's going to be the one that's going to get 80% of my energy or 90% of my energy. Same thing, I partner with a partner on some real estate development. We build new homes. My partner is the builder. I'm the one that helps structure the deal with the banks, helps set it all up financially, legally, all of that, right? Got the accountant where we monitor everything, every single, because now those four townhouses have become Airbnbs. So that's my side of it. Again, I don't know, 5 hours, maybe average a week. If I'm going to be a partner, I'm not looking to be a partner to become a full-time employee in another business. I'm looking to be able to sit down with my partners and because remember, I've seen 700 business owners. I know what some of the things we should be doing, we shouldn't be doing. And then how do we do certain things and we continue to expand. So I will sit and say that I align my strengths into another industry, their strengths, and say, yes, I can go into it. I won't go into an industry and say, oh, again, if I was buying a business and I'm looking and say, oh man, that thing's cash flowing $1 million. They only won 2 times. And that's an environmental engineering company. Yeah, one, I'm not an engineer. Two, I'm not environmental. So if I don't have a partner who's in that industry, I'm not going in it. Right. So
Yeah.
that's the thing I would say to people that make sure if you're, I will say that any business I want to look for, I don't want to start anything from scratch. And I don't want to
Yeah.
own anything by myself 100%. I want
Yeah.
partners. So I will want to not use, but partner with you. So your strengths and my strengths together, as God said, when two come together in his name, we can multiply, right? It's not
Yeah.
adding. If we're great business partners, it shouldn't be 2 plus 2. Same thing in my marriage.
Yeah.
It ain't 2 plus 2. In my marriage, it's been 2 plus 2 is 10 and 2 plus 2 is 16. Because sometimes I'm sitting here saying, I don't know how that's the abundance God is talking about. He start multiplying,
Yeah.
and my mind like, oh, okay, he changed that. That wasn't a plus, that was a multiplication.
Yeah.
And God usually don't do division. Only way you're gonna do division if you get out of line with him.
Yeah.
And he's gotta like slow you down and pull you back. Now I gotta do some subtracting and some division. But understand,
That's real.
you got out of line. He didn't get out of line.
Yeah. No, that's real. That's a word within itself. And I feel like you can apply that, like you said, to marriage, to business, to life in general.
Yes.
So no, that's really good. And I really wanted you to talk about that because I wanted people to just get the full picture of what it looks like when you actually take your seed that you're making from one business and really being able to have options to be able to pour into other businesses and also leverage partnerships, which I think that's something that a lot of people think they have to always be. I want to be 100% because I can't trust anybody. But that's not how God had designed us to operate anyway as well. But I think that it's important for people to be able to see, like, when you are good stewards over the resources that God blesses you with, your seed that He blesses you with, you are able to have options to where you can put your money in other places, in other buckets that work for you and that actually help you to really be able to obtain wealth for your family and your kids and your kids' kids and every generation
Yeah,
after that. So,
absolutely. Let me add one note to
yeah.
that, Curly. So, yes, there's other avenues you can go outside, but I'm gonna also tell you that within your own company, there's other ways for you to create more revenue, right? And
Mm-hmm. That's
my
good.
wife reminds me, my partner, my business partner, my wife, I leave the other things alone. My friend, my kids may be listening to this. Dad, uh, and my friend, that she consistently reminds me when I say that it's, as I'm going to create this other potential company, she always say to me, Dave, what else can we be doing in Trinity Financial?
Mm.
She started saying that to me 2 years ago when our company was not 2 years ago, when our company was in the second year and we're going into year nine. Since then, we've been able to we have 5 revenue buckets with our company, right? And
That's a good helpmate
right.
there.
So that wisdom, again, that's the multiplication. God said, when y'all become one, we pray together. Then she gives me the saying, you know what, sweetie, you're right. And then I start praying on it and say, okay, God, what else can I do? Bam, it shows up, right? And then all of a
Mm.
sudden now we're going to create a new revenue bucket. And that revenue bucket, actually almost the 4 additional revenue buckets are all reoccurring. The
Mm.
main one is not reoccurring. Now it's the big picture one, and it's everything Trinity is about. The other 4 are reoccurring, right? So when my
Hmm.
wife said, "Hey, we need to be doing more here," she don't give me the vision of it. That comes from God. And it's
Wow.
something when I get in my prayer closet and I pray, and all of a sudden, Colin said, I'll be honest with you. Sometimes I'm sitting here in this seat and it drops to me like that, like boom. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And then I start
Yeah.
investigating, start researching, and start outlining everything. And be like, oh, well, man, that worked well. And then 6 months later, income start generating, and 4 years later, it's still coming.
Yes.
So I will say that
That's
to
the
your
vision.
listeners too, that your main company, there's more than there's more than one way for. Just
Mm-hmm.
don't think of one. Okay, I got an apple tree. I'm gonna sell apples. There's apple pies. There's apple cobbler. I mean, right?
Yeah.
There's other people need apples for their salad. Oh,
Yeah.
that's them apples. All that additional stuff that that you can provide apples and make money off of.
Yeah. That's really good. That's really good. Wow. I have nothing to say to that actually. Because I feel like I'm in that place right now in my business where I'm really just like, okay, where are you wanting me to go, God? Like, because I know that this is not. I know I haven't wrung this towel dry yet. So I definitely, I love that. I really love that.
Because you haven't even started. You haven't even. Your towel is still collecting water.
Yeah.
Okay, so just know that God wants to from this, and I know you're starting to get sponsorships and stuff like that, and pulling people that start coming with your podcast. Just know God is
Mm-hmm.
not done. Keep adding water, right? And and
Yeah.
and just make sure as you sit down and have a conversation with your husband that you guys pray together, and then go to your prayer closet and pray. God will bring more clarity to you.
Yeah.
That's where it's going to come from, and as a good father, he's going to share stuff with us in our quiet time. That's saying because
Mm-hmm.
we're obedient to come in his presence, that he will share more things with you.
Yeah. That's real. That's real. Well, I appreciate you for
Well,
coming on the podcast and dropping so much gems and so much knowledge. I feel like everyone is going to be like, where can we find this man?
they got to talk to you. And you know what? It's I do fight for my clients at any given time. You probably can't see. I got my whole whiteboard behind me, right? All of
Mm-hmm.
those buckets are full. Some of them got two clients in it because, and I think that's 24 spots up there at any given time.
Wow.
And it varies that some of our clients, because if we're doing new construction, it'd be 18 months, right? Or maybe up to 2 years. But then the refinances are usually, let's say, 90 days or 100 days. So after we complete it, and I do have a CRM system, but that's for me to visually see, right?
Yeah.
So I can say, okay, I can keep adding steps on there. Okay, next step, next step. And then when I'm all done, I write it all in our CRM system. But I need to see it visually. But I just keep
Yeah.
that up there at any given time so I know to continue to move forward. 'Cause that business, again, is the business God want me in. And I know when God want me to move, I leave this with you because God has told me on two previous occasions to move. One, I was at
Mm.
one company. I was there 14 years. He told me to move. I went to Fifth Third
Mm.
Bank. I was at Fifth Third Bank 14 years. And
Wow.
he gave me Trinity Financial. And when I walked out, it was 14 years. Now Trinity Financial is in year 9. I don't know if it's going to be 14, but I just know that right now he haven't told me to move. So I'm going to continue to do what I'm
Yeah.
doing and continue to do it with a level of excellence and be exceptional at what we do.
Yeah. That's good. That is really good. Well, thank you, Mr. David Pack, for blessing my podcast today with all of your gems and all of your knowledge. I do want to give you a chance to let the people know where they can learn more about your business. Well, first of all, you have to be a specific person that works with Mr. David Pack. But I did want you to give yourself an opportunity to tell people what you do because I don't think we actually talked about
Yes.
what you do. They just know you own Trinity Financial, but they don't know exactly what that
Okay.
is.
So Trinity Financial Consulting is a financial consulting firm that we help churches across the country to get capital for their facilities. There's also a second division within Trinity Financial, and it's called Kingdom Living and Wealth Building. That is something God gave to me to be able to share with people about our community is focused on we want riches, riches, riches. Yeah, that's not what God promised. He promised us wealth. There is a difference. But
Mm-hmm.
first, get kingdom living. So when you start living like the king in his ways, then as he add these things to you, Satan can get access to you. With riches, Satan get access to you. There are some people in our
Mm-hmm.
community, you can go out and look at them any given time that Satan has got access to, and I'll you up
Yeah.
high, and then all of a sudden when he pulls the rug, it's not a gradual, it's just a free fall, right? So
Yeah.
unfortunately, that's part of Trinity Financial Consulting. So you can look us up at www.trinityfinancialconsulting.com. If you want to have a strategy meeting, we usually do those 1 hour free to anyone, and it don't have to just be about a church deal. My thing is that I'm more than willing to, if you want to talk about an acquisition, I'm willing to spend time with you to look at it. And now I'm not going to guide you every step of the way. No, I don't have time to do that. I just showed you a board that I got probably 30 customers in there who are paying me to manage their process. But I can start you on the right path and some of the things you need to do. And I just say for all if you can be married and you got a partner, you automatically get to start multiplying if you want to live in God's kingdom. Because God said, "Where y'all
Mm.
two come together, ask, and I should give you what you want." Right? But you got to ask with the
Mm.
right intentions. You have the right
Yeah.
mindset, right? It's not for me to ask God, "Hey, God, I want a Bugatti," and then for me to go ride all around and ride in town and pick up that girl. Nah, that's not what God is about, right? is for me. I would say for me, if he gave me a Bugatti, I don't want one. My son does. But if he gave me one, it'd be for me and Miss Pack to ride in. Right. But it's not for us to ride in to show off. It is for us to ride in and to enjoy.
Yeah, that's so good. I just love how humble you are. I really do appreciate that. So, thank
You're
you
welcome.
again, Mr. David Pack, for blessing us. And yeah, if you want to connect with Mr. David Pack and this team, then you could definitely visit their website, and I'll also put it down in the show notes below.
Yeah.
But yeah,
And you can put
thank
my
you so
email on
much.
there, which is the dpack at trinityfinancialconsulting.com. Okay.
Perfect.
All
Period.
right.
Period.
Thank
Thank
you. God
you.
bless. All right.
You
Bye bye.
too. Bye bye. Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of the Side Hustler Podcast. I hope you're leaving here today feeling inspired and ready to take your next step. If you love this episode, I'd love for you to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with another side hustler who needs to hear it. And don't forget to connect with us on Instagram at Carly Dorlin. I'd love to hear about your side hustling journey. Remember, you're doing better than you think, and your dreams are so worth it. Until next time, keep hustling, sis. You got this.